the dojo. It's 2 point maybe 9. I'm going to say 9.8 to 2.98. I'm not really sure, but we're getting lower to the latter digits of the twos. Really good to see everybody. How is it hanging? I watched your show, James, and I wasn't able to do a double back on it, but really amazingly powerful time we're living in, and good take on it as far as the potential. If you are new to Dojo, you would go to the reaction key at the bottom of the screen and hit that heart. And if you want to raise your hand and introduce yourself, that's always great. But just to kind of get a general feel of what's going on in your field today. Hi, James. How's it going?
Hello. It's going
Hello.
it's going well. It's going well. Here is I was having technical difficulties today. I hope this isn't like okay, this is like pretty you know what, you're here. It's just going to happen. This was the slide that I was going to show you today. This is Aaron Bushnell. You've seen this slide before if you've watched my show, but
Yeah.
this guy joined the military and decided the way to serve his country was to set himself on fire in front of the Israeli consulate and against the genocide that's going on. And one of the reasons why I get so mad or activated, I should say, about Candace Owens or Charlie Kirk or is because there's the guys like this out there, and those guys are never. That should be if anyone's going to grab national attention, it should be that guy. It should be Aaron. And there that should be the center. He should be the token dead body that people parade to say he's on my side. And I'm even that I will accept. I will even accept the most hyenish behavior you can have, but at least use the right person. At least immortalize the right person, the right hero, the one that's really, doing something there. And I don't mean to immortalize. I think that in all these self-immolation cases, if I can be frank, I don't think you can set yourself on fire without having some selfish motives there. I just think it's just a really powerful magic, and in order for you to pull that, you'd have to have a lot of different motivations that would be converged. Is all I'm trying to say. And one of those, especially at least for the Buddhists, this was not a "oh my life sucks." So a lot of times this was "fuck man, life's life's so real. I'm gonna set myself on fire in the cleanest possible way." It was a very very different ritual. So much effort is put into how well can my body burn? What will I smell like when people find me? Just the same with the embalming monks you may have heard about, where the monks will starve themselves in a frozen lotus position, trying to turn themselves into a cadaver statue that is peace and tranquility. And they go so far as to drink a kind of embalming fluid to coat their stomachs, just as these self-immolation monks will actually drink a flammable concoction to coat their lungs because they feel that if it's not a clean burn, um, something's wrong. The sacrifice hasn't been fully received. I this Aaron is a holocaust of himself. He set his own world on fire, and that kind of burn magic it's been around a while. It's moved a lot of us. The Israeli population is one of many populations that claim to have the monopoly on people tried to burn our people. That's actually pretty much all of us have that in common. So it's one point someone's tried to burn someone that in your past, and some of you are genetically still burning in that way. Some of you still show signs of that. Not pointing out anyone in particular here in the room. Not trying to point fingers towards anyone who might be smiling right now, drinking a cup of coffee. It's just pure coincidence. But that all of us are immolating right now anyway. And I just think it was an opportunity to bring that up. But I was having some technical difficulties and my slideshow wasn't working. So yeah, there's a big
Yeah, I'm so
mouthful there.
glad you were able to put that in at the end. Because I know you're kind of trying to like, is there anything left here? You're like, this is what I. So that actually made me almost like hear it more that way, because it does need to have a bit of a focus on it. Yeah, the irony of what's going on now and what he did. Was it February 2025?
Yes,
Not
February
that long,
2024, February 25th, 2024.
but 2 years ago.
He wrote a manifesto, and none of us have read it. They're not going to publish that. That's not going to happen.
Jeez.
Yeah. So,
I'd like
um,
to know what he had to say.
yeah.
With this particular case, as all cases, I think of self-immolation. Even that woman who self-immolated in Texas because she was having that affair with a Texas congressman. I think that happened in.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes, that was
yeah,
the
she
latest one.
self-immolated, and that's now back in. They're actually trying to get get that guy some type of court or case should go. Should be this guy should be taken out at some point. The guy that she was having an affair with.
Yeah,
Just because he didn't
if
even
people don't know
acknowledge.
the story, a congressman from Texas had a one of his aides. They were having an
Yeah.
affair, and she set herself on fire on the state capitol. I think it was on the state capitol steps. That
No, I
that
think it
part
was in her backyard.
was it?
It was in her backyard. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't want to sound argumentative. Are you sure you're not confusing that with Bertrand Russell's daughter? Because she burned herself in her backyard.
No, this was
Okay.
no, this was a
Okay. A lot of people burn
governmental.
themselves. Sometimes it's in the backyard.
Apparently, it's a
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of those cases. A lot of situations like that. Bertrand Russell's daughter is one of them that I find really interesting because so many people consider him or used to consider him a pillar of wisdom. And
Right.
I'm not saying that means he's guilty, but it's just like why the fuck aren't you guys talking about that? Like, why is that a taboo subject? Uh, and if it is a taboo subject, what are we teaching here? What what do people do to get you to talk about them if not this? It's really backwards. It really is. Um, Listening to Hexef today is uh really insane. Like to he gave a press conference today, this Secretary of War, just hearing his rhetoric, his language, he's like a 5-year old talking, speaking war poems. Like we came, we saw, like that kind of shit. Just like really twisted,
Wow.
psychopathic language. Like he's just boasting. He's proud of himself. He's a chicken hawk, and knowing that's been ignited now. There's the Ayatollah's son. They left him alive. It's like, of course you're going to leave that guy alive. What now? He's lost his wife, his dad, and his children, and now he's probably going to be in charge of Iran. Way to go, guys! That'll fix it. That'll that's going to really make things better. And if you're a warmongering uh, administration, yeah, that's better, isn't it? We needed to stoke the fires. We can't have a situation where we're not needed here. We need to stir up the crusade. So yeah, it's an interesting
It's just
time right now.
so,
It will be.
yeah. Sarah, good to see you. Go ahead.
Hi.
Go ahead. I'm going to run and
So,
turn my heater real quick, but I'll be back.
Hey Sarah.
Go ahead.
okay, I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to point out, I haven't heard any of you mention it, um, that this current assassination happened 1 or 2 days before the Jewish holiday of Purim, which celebrates the Jewish victory over the Persian Haman, and I can't pronounce that name, when they wanted to kill the Jews. Um, to me, the timing's significant. I haven't heard. It probably is in the Jewish community for that reason.
Interesting.
And the connection to Purim is interesting as when I forget how many, I think it was the same as Haman's sons, the 10 at the Nuremberg trials were hung. They left the courtroom saying, allegedly, it said they left the courtroom yelling Purim spiel, relating that to Purim, and Purim spiel in German would translate it as either a play as in theater or a game.
Wow.
Yeah, this happened right before this holiday that celebrates all of that, the Jews surviving in the Persian decree that Haman had the king make to destroy all the Jews. It's the story of Esther, is that? So yeah, I
Wow.
wanted to mention, and I have to go off screen to
Okay.
hook stuff.
This is really great, Sarah. Thank you. Purim in 2026 starts nightfall of March 2nd to nightfall March 3rd.
Yes,
Joyous
and
Jewish
you gather
holiday
and listen.
celebrating the rescue of
Uh,
Persian Jews from a genocidal plot by Haman, as told in the book of Esther. It's marked by the reading of the Megillah, the book of Esther, exchanging food, gifts, misloshmanot, charity, and festive meals.
uh-huh.
Didn't they put up a tent or something? I have to sleep outside or something, Sarah?
No, that's wait.
I think
That's the holiday of Sukkot.
Oh, Sukkot. Okay.
I mean, if I had a favorite holiday, which I don't at all, or honor or participate in them, but Sukkot was my favorite because yeah, you make a temporary dwelling and camp outside for the week. You
Yeah.
eat all your meals outside, and when I did all that, I had fun making them. I'd make them on Orcus. I made one out of the frame was all driftwood that I got from the beach.
Nice.
And then put tarps on the outside, and then fabric on the inside.
It says the
Invited people
Hebrew. It says the Hebrew word Purim translates to lots, referring to the
lots.
lots Haman
Yes,
cast to determine the date of the
yes.
intended destruction.
It was also in this alignment of all the planets. Isn't that interesting?
Yes, yes, you're right.
And it's very biblical. I feel it's like a revelations. Like I think you
Yeah,
nailed it.
And
It's
It's an
we've
like
had the
exciting time to be alive.
yeah, it
It's
really
neat that
is.
we're all here at the same time, because you couldn't ask for a more interesting experience.
Yeah, yeah, and it's you're not going to be covering this up. There's a lot of people that voted for this. That's a human energy that needs to be on the field, quenched, exercising itself, like exorcising itself in that kind of way. And yeah, it's a lot of them. A lot of
Is
people
it real
out there.
are they really saying that they're going to war for the return of Jesus? Is that something that's legitimately been,
Yeah, about
or did I
50.
just, yeah.
Yeah. Several complaints have come in. No one's owned up to who did it, but the MRFF, Military Religious Freedom Foundation, has reported at least one combat unit commander told non-commissioned officers that President Trump was anointed by Jesus to ignite the conflict in Iran as part of God's divine plan to cause Armageddon. This was MRF reported that they were inundated with over 200 complaints from service members across more than 50 military units and 30 installations since this began. Commanders allegedly citing the Book of Revelation during official briefings, framing the war as an eschatological event.
Okay, and the other question I had was it a real story about the soldiers basically backing up the sewage system on the boat? There were some people that were kind of basically anti-war, and they just backed up the system. They said we don't want to do this shit.
On which boat?
I don't know what boat.
On
I
an
didn't get
American
any
boat?
actual names.
On an American boat?
Yeah, it was American soldiers. American soldiers that, and I know that our boats are not that poorly engineered that you could accidentally have too many crewmen on the boat. Like they purposely were fucking this shit up. That was the story I saw. So there was at least one account where that happened, where American soldiers were like, "Fuck this shit."
Just like stuffing the toilets with stuff and just clogging everything up.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
They made it
Okay.
unseaworthy so that they couldn't be sent out.
That's for real. That's talk about
Well, according to this, yeah, but it's like it's hard to figure out which country you're talking about because apparently it happened in 3 different countries. The 3 different recent notable events of naval sabotage. And it's like, yeah, 2 individuals were arrested in February 2026 for suspected involvement in port. They involved abrasive materials in engines, punctured pipes, and removing fuel caps. Additionally, to plumbing, tampering with engines and plumbing inside a German frigate. Definitely
Okay.
correct what I'm missing here, Clinton. But no, this is the first I've heard of this. This is great. This is what I've been talking about how freaking
That's-
cool would
Yes,
it be
some
if
people are waking
were
up,
like,
you know.
yeah, it was when my dad's like, you could join ICE. And I was like, Dad, I could join ICE. Think of how much sabotage I could do. Are you kidding? Imagine me and ICE, like being behind the
I
lines
talked
in
about that
camouflage,
this
telling
last
everyone
weekend.
else around me, like, hey guys, have you thought about the existential thing that we're actually doing right now? And like what it means to be immortalized as like cuckeries throughout the rest of our days. Man, you guys want to pray with me? Dear God, help us be the best cucks we could possibly be. Like that's yeah, my dad's like, you need to stop thinking this much, James. But yeah, we
yeah,
could do that. We could do that.
good.
I was telling the Navy that before I was released a year early with an honorable discharge. And I was telling them the whole time, I was like, you do realize I'm a fire FTC. I'm the dude that fires the torpedo if things go bad. And the yeoman like stopped writing and she looked up and she was like, no, I never really thought about it that way, Drew. And I was like, yep, you need to think about it. You just really need to think about it.
But I'm going to burn the building down, right?
That's like, I want my stapler. I want my stapler bread. Yep. Yeah. By the way, I showed up to drill one day and they didn't call my name. And see, the yeoman can't tell you, hey, I let you out of the Navy early. That's not how this fucking works. You understand? Like she can't do that. That would get her in trouble. I literally show up one day and they didn't call my name. And I was stupid and naive enough to complain about it because I didn't want to get in trouble for not being there on the right weekend. And she said, what are you doing here? Like she was mad at me. She was like, what are you doing here? And I guess she thought I was going to get some paperwork, or she probably thought I like opened my mailbox and I'm like, oh, mail, let me read this shit, you know. But anyway, that's how I left the Navy. I found out that a human being had just set me free. Had just after a long while of me saying, look, can you just give me a job? You do understand, yeoman, that I'm not here complaining. I'm just telling you, it's just driving me nuts. We're not doing shit. All they do is tell fart jokes. It's just that's all it is. These are humans working inside the system, right? Like imagine all the stormtroopers just like we're gonna poop in the Death Star at 4:15 in the morning. Everybody get ready, you know, and we're gonna bring this whole thing down. This is what I was hinting at about the more entitlement there is, the more people are like, oh, okay, yeah, we can do this. Sure. Oh, you want me to shoot something? What do you want me to shoot? Oh, I shot you. I'm sorry. Oh, you want me to shoot them? Sorry. Make sure he doesn't leave. You know, it's that kind of thing. The power of incompetence compels you, you know, we can unleash that at any point in time. A lot of people are probably doing it. We just don't know it. It's like ever now.
Mm. Dark Bloom, good to see you. Go right ahead.
Hi there, y'all. Just as this is definitely more like the heavy topics because we all feel it, we see it. A lot of us even grew up seeing it and went through the disillusionment of this big honking thing. How do you interface with it to even make a difference? But I think I understand. They never value the most valuable tokens because that magic is real and potent. It is this spell that dispels. And the only way to ensure it doesn't have that quantum conscious ripple effect is to hide it. Which is why I really loved when you said Gaia sleeper cells today, because I think, like, especially for me, I like focusing on that, like, don't save, don't crusade, pollinate. Pollinate. There are unconventional solutions here, and we are very creative, and it doesn't have to seem, even antagonistic. We have a magic and a power that's healing no matter what. And it's interesting when you talk about revelation. And I think Cameron was kind of hitting somewhat at this too when he was explaining what it's like to grow up in a church, especially a Pentecostal one. They bang on the revelation drum all day long. But if you understand the book, they would be playing the part where Jesus already came and raptured everyone away. And now we're all just, we would be in the aftermath. So it would be this moment of, well, y'all missed the boat. And that's not what I want to subscribe to, because we do have the choice not to play, not to participate, and instead to build the Aquarian outpost that we as Gaia sleeper cells are here to initiate. That's all I got. And I appreciate the encouragement within this, because this is stuff that I feel so heavy. And then I have to run back out into the woods and be like, Trace, please eat me. please rejuvenate me, because you feel it.
They're a good place to plug into the tree. You got the roots, you got the trunk. It's a great antenna to do that work. Because yeah, you really, this is intense. It's like, I'm kind of freaking out. And we freaked out in 2020, 2019. This is just like another and it's really affecting a lot of people. My fractals, different reactions from both, but very upset to just like, Ellen DeGeneres is fucking pedophile, so it's all over the range from the, what we were discussing in 2020 to the war. And it's a lot. It's quite overwhelming. I'm so glad, like Clinton said, that we're alive and we're able to discuss these types of things together, because it's overwhelming. Lori, so good to see your hand up high. Go right ahead.
It's really interesting taking that nothing's broken bird view of when I saw this built up of the boats, everything going over there. And my parents lived in Iran, so I have like a personal firsthand experience of what it was like when the Shah was there. And then I like, James, you were talking about you were on Team Iran right now. And in the first live when it happened, when you were doing Friday, I listened, but I wasn't available. And, having that happen on that, when I saw that alignment, the 28th of February was a super, super powerful alignment. And then I thought, well, they're going to do it now. And then I was just like, and then it's like the best apocalypse ever, because I think 70% of all of the people that are in the United States are not for this. So I was out there pollinating, I've just been pollinating like crazy. It's really fun to play in the Hyoka, but everyone is, from grandmothers saying I don't support it to people all these women are like screaming, like stand up, and it's disturbing, but at the same time it's waking more people up than I've ever thought imaginable, in a very, very speedy manner, because it's getting more and more and more obvious, like follow the energy, follow the water. Okay, so one of the things that I'm kind of looking for is if they take that the Straits of Hormuz or whatever that is, and watching the energy of that, and then watching like if the Euphrates, they there's a dam there's something with the Euphrates that's supposed to dry up in part of this revelation. And I'm like, I'm not surprised. They're just playing this playbook, and it's all about, the the agenda of what's been really obvious. And it's like all the puzzle pieces have started to fit together. And it's like, I just don't think there could be a better, unfortunately, people are dying. But the other thing that I was kind of watching and how fast this was, I mean, 2 days before we had Mexico drug cartel. Now we're in this, and then now we're having a Middle Eastern war where everything's being bombed. I was like, well, I don't know if anybody watched or listens to Max Egan or anything, but he's walking around in Puerto Vallarta with the guns going off and the buildings burning, and they all those anarcho people were down there, and they're like, false flag, and they're walking around, and I'm like, okay, so it's like the best apocalypse ever. It's like, no, it lasts for one day and then it's gone. So I just think everyone is like done, and all the people are like, oh look, gas has just gone up 40 cents, and so everyone's just kind of, I think everyone sees now. I think this curtain has been, and that's what I think is the best. I think that's really, how good can it get? That's
Yeah.
If it has to happen,
My whole life, I'm sure you remember this too, Lori. My whole life, though, I remember growing up with people that were older than me, listening to the news and being told, like, so and so X number of people slaughtered, blah blah blah, this war crime, blah 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 blah. But we'll have to see how the economy is at the next election. And that no matter what you hear, no matter how horrible things happen, no matter what it is, you're always told that, well, we'll just have to see how the economy is at the next election. And I don't mind you saying that's just all propaganda, that's just all news. Like I don't mind us dismissing it all as just that, but I want you to think about it as different levels of consciousness, and that some people can only look at the world through an economy. They don't have the emotional timber to go anywhere else, except for, is the Dow up or down? And that's sort of like a dog whistle of when Pambani's like the Dow's of 50,000, right? It's sort of a dog whistle to reach that base root, to hopefully cling to it and insist that it's still there. And it is still there. And in the world of nothing is broken, we see that this is still there and that this needs tilling. This is a soil that needs fucking tilling. It needs some serious tilling. Like, it is completely not ready for flowers.
It's the turn it over point.
Yeah, it's and you're going to need a hard ass heavy plow that just slices its way through that stuff, aerates that stuff over and over. And I want you to think about what I don't think I was able to adequately say today due to technical difficulties. I want you to think about this Illuminati thing again in this sense. The Illuminati are running the world because the Illuminati are the only people that are disgusted with the status quo, with the way that things are. There's a certain kind of mission where you feel you have to pollinate things because they're just so hyena. Everyone who is not able to see this, the Illuminati has to be in the room. You have to be in the room, but you can't be in a position of power because you're a person too. You're just the people. So everyone around you is broadcasting the Illuminati as being the people in charge. And they wrongly assign this role to the Epstein pedophile class. That's the Illuminati. Because they do not want to see where the real power is, which is the ones who are illuminated. The ones that are seeing exactly what's happening are the only ones that would have what it takes and that would be willing to go to the extra effort of pulling out the lantern on the side of the hill and listening to people say no. And when they say no, make it even more. Show them even more clearly how no this really is. Isn't this, in a way, sort of what we've been doing since COVID? Haven't we been wishing that the world would be more no-ish?
Yeah.
That we've been pushing no cis by asking the world, would you please just fucking say no? Would you just fucking say no? Whether it's a vaccine or a new idea or a new law or a new regulation, just fucking say no. And now the truth is in the room. And I think you really see why the book of Revelations is built into the psyche of the hyena mind, which proves entirely what I'm trying to say, that the Illuminati cannot be in charge because you wouldn't be able to predict something like that. You're only going to be able to predict a hyena behavior from 6,000 years away. You're going to be able to write a 6,000 years in the future. I know what a butt fucking hyena is going to do. I know what they're going to do 6,000 years from now. They're going to want to rape kids. They're going to want to lie to each other. They're going to want to rule the world. You know that 6,000 years ahead. But you can't predict what James True's going to do, what Lori's going to do, what the fuck Renee's going to do, what any of us are. You can't predict that. You have no fucking idea. Who the fuck knows what they're up to? But you can predict the hyena. So Revelation is showing you everything. The only thing that's really messing us up is we're wearing our glasses backwards. I'm not necessarily saying we are, but when you look at the truth movement struggle with this idea that we're supposed to be against the people that want to illuminate others, and that we have to tell each other, well, they're seeing light, but it's false light. It's false. Like, what the fuck does false light even mean? What the fuck does that word even fucking mean? This is, I think, the biggest revelation of all, because you can see it all clearly right here. And the moment you have to admit you're Illuminati is the moment you got to pick up a baseball bat. I'm not saying you're doing violence, but just the intimidating act of picking up a baseball bat, just the clowning, the merry pranksterous nature becomes your responsibility. And this is where most people just disappear. And they'd rather tear each other apart. Well, it's this truther who's ruining the world. It's not fucking pedophiles. It's James True. I don't mean to personally me, but it's like, this is what it shows me. It's like, I'm like basically a good guy. I'm not like going around doing all this stuff. But if you look at how many truthers are just so fucking convinced that I'm the one behind bringing it all down, it just shows you how pathetically desperate we are to not look at the mirror and just admit that we're the Illuminati. We're the fucking ones that are doing that. And we're trying to cover ourselves in more darkness. We're trying, but it's not working. The sun has found you. It's too late. The seed is cracked. It's time to come out. That's all I got.
Thanks, James. White hole sun. Go ahead, Lauren. Good to see you.
Good to see you guys too. Yeah, this full moon eclipse energy and planetary alignment, and it's really strong energy. I was feeling the lead up to the Iran and everything lining up in the heavens. I was feeling it right through my solar plexus. It's pretty wild, and I'm like, what is going to happen here? And you know, we saw what's happening. I like what you said earlier, James, about becoming illuminated makes everything around you better. It's true. And not very many people are willing to say that, are they? They just want to demonize what they don't understand. And it's pretty sad because these people are doing a lot of good work, a lot of caring where others couldn't be bothered to care. And I like what Dark Bloom, what you said about you're living your life as a ritual. I've been working on that. And it seems like all good things are being added onto me the harder I try and the more I try to refine my life. It's hard though. I mean, things will jump in the way, things will try to divert you. I was complaining about being lonely and not really having anybody in my life. Well, this full moon eclipse energy planetary alignment has brought people into my life who study what I study. last couple days I've met some incredible people, and I've been invited to study with the Martinists. So I'm doubling down. I'm going all in. The whole life is going to be a ritual. I'm going to be burning. Hopefully everybody will see it.
Oh my
Um,
God.
so it's just I'm very, very surprised that all good things are being added onto me, because you do this enough and you're just like, where's the result? But it'll come in giant waves. Anyway, it's good to see you all, and happy to be here with you guys.
Oh, thank you, Lauren. Lovely share. I was up pretty early, was roaming the Portland, and probably went a couple places, talked to about 3 people, and had a fun little interaction with each one of them. There's this little girl was pushing a grocery cart, and her mom was like, "Hey, come over here." And I'm just looking at him and kind of like, "Oh, sometimes when your cart's heavy, it pulls you." And then she's like, the mom was talking, and you could tell she was tired, kind of bedraggled. And here I am in my wacky outfit, talking to, like, why is this lady talking to me? But I was like, I had 6 brothers and sisters, and we all tried to be in the cart. So and she laughed, and so just being out there and kind of lightening up the field that where you are immediately, you have so many opportunities. A lady at the deli counter, I could have a fun interaction with and have them go, "Huh, that was interesting," as I walk away. So that's kind of that's the pollinating I like to do, just in the everyday. And it is ritualistic for me, because I know that if I'm a vibe libel and I'm going into a place of business or a park, I do feel like I have some responsibility to just have the best time I can. Okay, thanks a lot. There you go, Clinton. You're up.
You mentioned the vibe libel, and Brad had talked about that last time in comparison to like the prison planet, and James calling it the prism planet. And so it's kind of like we're stuck at our own level until we grow. And like Lauren's saying, every time you're seemingly leveling up, the material gets super dense and heavy. And that kind of goes with what's going on right now, being that there's so much change. And we talk about compassion all the time. And I was listening to a man speak, and he's saying the root of passion is to carry, to bear, or to suffer. And that calm being like togetherness. So compassion is being together with another person's passion, and dealing with the struggles that everyone's going through. And so when you are the light, it's seemingly you're going to see the stuff. When you're showing it to other people, it might be intense for them, but it is the time to turn over the rocks, like you're saying, Renee. We got to look under everything, turn it all over, start again. That's all I really got.
Oh, thanks, Clinton. Yeah. And I really did resonate with Dark Bloom's take last week about you're saying it was a right. This is my right to claim this energy in every moment that you can. That's great. Go right ahead.
So it's funny because while we're talking about all these things, and the first thing when James said the Tao, there's also the Tao, the D-A-O. It's just interesting wordplay, how it shifts focus and the amperage that is needed to really feel this stuff. And yeah, then you would essentially have to be like, okay, I need to submerge myself in the sacred earth of the roots of the trees or the water. I'm so glad there's so much water around me. But while I was out there, so it was the second, I wrote the following, and it's very short. I just hope that it blesses each of you. Sometimes the most powerful magic we cast is through the silent but earnest rites done in solitude. Their amperage needs neither proclamation nor validation, because the sacred chamber of the heart knows it has already been heard and received by both the self and the loving network of connectedness. The rite is complete, the intent is released. To know within is to have faith in all that is beyond. We are the nodes of an interconnected grid, broadcasting beautiful signals from within.
Oh.
And when it's heavy like this, yeah. Thank you guys for letting me share with you.
Yeah. So much leaking. It's really good leaking. That's going on. I kind of have a hard time leaking sometimes. I'm a little bit more reserved, but when someone else is leaking, crying is what I'm meaning. Um, I really like to be right next to that, just to feel through it. And then sometimes it stirs something up in me because it's so good for your heart to cry. And one of my favorite things I've been playing with is hardest, being a hardest. And isn't that just right there? It's so sweet. So it really shows how much your heart wants to express its artistry. These, as I'm seeing just throughout many people I experience, there's just a different tenor to the field right now. Go ahead, Brad.
I before
Oh,
just real quick, I thought it was interesting. You talked about, and I used to be like, I'm just gonna hold it in, I'm gonna be strong, I'm not gonna, and for me, and I know it's different for everybody, by the way, the more I connect, the more I end up expressing. It's able to move. So that's also probably why I go out there. So I have that space to cry, to feel, or even coming here, like I'm amazed how much it's actually coming through here, which probably means there's some good amperage here. So thank you. Thank you, all of you.
We are turned up to 11. Turned up to 11. Go ahead, Brad.
These do. Why not just make 10 a little louder and make that go all the way to the top? But these go to 11. It is heavy, I guess, out there in the world and with certain things going on. But I do like probably in our personal bubbles, the vibe Bible that we be talking about, right? Because I saw it through COVID and just in other places like that. And it's like, there's a lot of real intensity out there. And so, like, for example, I've talked to several people who are, naturally, understandably worried about the world and what's going on. But it's kind of funny just because, like you're talking about Renee there, it's like whenever it can just kind of get back to what's in between us right there in that place, it's like we're all aware of what's going on in the world, but it's not as heavy to sit there when we can just connect with each other's humanity in that space, right? In that vibe Bible. The other thing that was very fascinating to me was the first time, and I know I've mentioned this in terms of when we were talking about the Versipellis, the Gilgamesh, and Genesis and all this, but once I started thinking about a lot of things in the Bible, in this particular case, Revelations, being more of a psychological event rather than necessarily so here's what I'm feeling in that is the fact that I read it more as like this is a psychological happening in all of us, and what's talked about in Revelations is kind of describing energetically what's happening. And what I'm wondering, and you guys tell me what you think, I almost wonder if what we see in the physical is something that's maybe very quick, not something that's again, let me say it like this, depending on who you are and where you are at, because if you're already, quote unquote, Illuminati, right? I feel like that means you've tried to do some of this psychological work. In other words, you've tried to see yourself clearly, right? You've tried to see the world already clearly so that as it's becoming more exposed, as the veil is coming down, which is all apocalypse means, right? We're not as surprised by it because we've been seeing it for a while. Therefore, other people who are we're talking about now, kind of, we're seeing people wake up. It does help. We kind of help those people maybe transition through it a little easier, perhaps. And that I kind of, this is back to what I'm saying, wonder what you guys think. I kind of do wonder if like that, a shift, as it were, happens relatively quickly in terms of when the physical catches up. And I say this because back in COVID, at the time, I didn't believe that it was one Friday, I got a phone call because my folks were out of town and they were saying, can you pick us up some groceries? Because they're about to shut stuff down. I was shocked. I really was shocked that by that Monday, they absolutely had shut, my job down, everything like that. I was shocked by how quickly that happened. I guess I didn't believe it. So I like I say, I wonder if, like, with everything that's going on right now in the Middle East and all this, if there's a protracted thing, or if you guys think it'd be more like depending on where you're at psychologically, like it'll feel more of a burn to someone who is just now waking up to it, or someone who still wants to believe in the illusions. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? But the more you've tried to see through the illusions, I think the less sort of heavy this all feels, perhaps.
I think you could, one way to look at it, and I'm not saying I've got this like pegged down, but the apocalypse is for everyone, no matter where you are. And
Right.
it really, if it burns like a bitch, it's because you're stretching your aperture more than it's ever been stretched before. And what you're really seeing is that other people are coming to the light, and you're probably more just remembering what it was like for you to for you to be there. But meanwhile, there's probably the apocalypse is happening in your personal life right now, and that's carrying an intensity too. And I wonder if it's not an intensity, are you not necessarily you, Brad, but are you looking enough at are you staring directly into the white sun? Because what's wrong with it burning every now and then? What's wrong with it being a playful burn where you look directly into the, the same fire that's causing all these other things to happen? And well, go ahead. Oh, I thought someone was going to say something.
Well, I'll add to that real quick that I thought that the when I first the like the first time you have to admit you're wrong about something, right? I feel like that maybe is the hardest, or the first time you kind of accept, oh, I was fooled here, I was gullible. And just you mentioning that play thing, James, that's what I'm saying. Like by this point in the game, like even though it can be uncomfortable a little bit and burn, like you're saying, but it's so freaking fun now because we've been doing this for so long. So it's like I do get what you're saying. It can burn a little bit and be heavy, but I don't know. Does that make sense? It's more fun now because we've been doing this. So it's kind of like,
Well, I'd like to even try and be one of the persons that gets to kind of take credit for this. Not necessarily for your attitude, but just best apocalypse ever is uh, uh, a posture of the spine that gives you the ability to stare into the sun in what would otherwise be more difficult. So yeah, and I'm not trying to say I gave that to you, but it's like, yeah, this is exactly why I talk about all I talk about. It's purely because, hey, look how much more clearly you can see if you just kind of relax a little bit. It's like that.
Starting out, you don't see yourself as being fooled, right, Brad? Like we're just part of the group that we assimilated into, and then as you become more and more oriented to the self, and you started to progress, you start to see the things, and so
Yeah.
we're not fooled. We just go along with
It's
with the fools.
I
And
think the
so
word perturbation. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Clint. Sorry.
no, that's a big word. Tell me what it means.
explain that
Well,
one.
if you think about it, like the sun perturbates, you never really get to see what the sun looks like, honestly, because if you watch the sun, you'd notice that it's perturbating, and you can't look away because you're like, oh my God, you're perturbating. It's a
You're guaranteed to see orbs if you look away,
it's a
though.
signal that you tap into. And I think truth, the apocalypse works the same way. You've learned to stare into the we'll call it the abyss, just because we need some kind of menacing word just as a placeholder. You learn to stare into the abyss, and you're doing it next to people that are merry pranksters, people that are laughing with each other as they're doing it, and that gives you all the tools you need to stare into it. So yeah, you look into the abyss more, and it's not nearly as uncomfortable. Sometimes it's challenging. I think we're more challenged by it. If we were uncomfortable by it, I don't think you guys would be here. I think it's playful enough to where you still want to engage with it.
I was going to say, I think
You
we
know?
enjoy the
Well, I think
challenge.
that-
I certainly know
Yeah,
I do.
and Revelation, Revelation gives you that. One of the reasons why that book survived so long is because, especially if you think about this in a Janesian psychology stuff, just a more simple mindset. Do you realize having an expiration date puts the psyche in a very different place? Having a collection of people that have left the city of Rome because fuck, Rome's insane, and they've gone up in the hills and they buried scrolls, and the scrolls they buried tell about the end days, and that this makes them feel better. It gives them a sense of this is over. I won't have to hold this pose all the time. So you could start to see how there's a romantic kind of letting go, a release. This is why I say all the time, I don't know if people realize what a gift mortality is, that The only guarantee that's ever been given to you is that God's promised you, hey, no matter what kind of bullshit you get wound up in, don't worry, I'm going to pull you out of here. The worst is you'll make it 80 years or 90 years or whatever, you know. God forbid you get stuck in some clone farm for 10,000, 50,000 years, but you know, there'll be an ice storm. You'll make
Praise
it
the
out
Lord.
eventually, you know. And that's sort of would be the same way that a book of Revelation would feel. So you have the ending of Rome, the 10 crowns, right? The seven horns, or the 10 horns on the seven tailed beast or whatever the fuck, and that, you know, you've got this whore of Babylon figure, but then you have all the perfections of all the cities, the rising up of that amalgamated hunger, that lust. Keep in mind, Rome was one of the biggest things people were freaking out about, was how it was just this undying lust, the gluttony. That was the biggest fear then, that it was going to end the world because people were enjoying themselves too much.
Nothing is changed because it's going to crash the Dow now, right?
Yeah. Even joy
You know,
was seen as a dangerous kind of emotion to have. Even joy was. So the idea of a revelation would make you feel better because you feel that there's something else. And that's why I think when you look at these books, the Oracle mythology puts it through this test where you start to realize this is actually a fractal story. It's a mythology of the fractal, which means it's just as relevant when the Essenes imagined that they were going to have their war scrolls, right? There's the final war of the Essenes, and we're going to have this great revelation. This great messianic figures are going to rise up. You've got your Christ and your Antichrist. But the Christ is already dead, so the Antichrist is going to bring back the new Christ. He's going to come back and avenge the old Christ, but only after this Antichrist is fulfilled, and he pulls all this stuff together, and you have all of this messianic immortality given to you, and it all happens in a giant impending system of what you think is being described to you as judgment or justice, which means all the wrongs that have been done to you in the world are going to be resolved on this day. So the book of Revelation, to a simple mind, is a very positive psychological book to have. In our world, maybe not your world, but your world pre-COVID, I'm just kind of going to generalize you, that was more of like a scary book, the book of Revelation, you know? The devil comes out with fucking weird shit going on. Devil comes around, starts eating people, saves only a few people, and whatever the stuff. It's when you're playful with it, you can look at Revelation, you could go, this is what the hyena you knew 5,000 years ago. This is what the hyena need. This is going to bring it all about. It makes them all act the same way. They're all acting the same way. The worst of the worst, the whore of Babylon, has brought her most decrepit representatives to the forefront. The worst of the worst, the most snakes in the most hair, has been brought forth onto the stage so you can see them in their full glory. Think about that. The world is asking, no, we need more. We need the grossest thing you could possibly imagine. We need people to stare into the face of that, because that's what will wake them up. That will illuminate them. You can't do this with Jesus. You need a whore of Babylon. You need that figure. And it's got to be a psychopathic, evil motherfucker, jaguar priest, the evilest thing you could imagine. And that's going to illuminate people. No wonder people are.
All right, that leads me to one more serious conspiratorial thing today that I saw, was that Mr. Epstein put his DNA in all of the COVID shots. So anybody who got a COVID shot has a bit of his enlightenment inside of them. So we got to look that one up, James. I don't know how factual that is.
That'd be Mary Prankster on steroids there, right?
That was creepy as shit.
Yeah, I saw that too. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Who put the reveal in Revelation?
Right.
Last
thing I'll just add.
Wouldn't the rapture, couldn't we see the rapture as like all of us owning our own light and taking responsibility and living in a better place, instantly, just like that?
And I think that you would need some kind of global, decrepit, disgusting thing like Epstein porking everyone in the world.
The whore of Babylon.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's the Whore of Babylon. It's going to look like that.
Yeah, nothing new.
Last thing, if I can
The
interject real
faces have been
quick, just because
changed.
James, but just James, as you were saying about taking the credit, let me give you all the credit in the world for all that you have pollinated my way, and you've been huge in that regard. From learning how to relax, learning how to play. This has all become a lot more fun since, you know, being in the room with you guys. It absolutely has. And just one other note, I noticed in the stream today there were some people from a channel that I had before I found you, and it's interesting because that channel is called Quantum Conscious. He's got a ton more subscribers. So in terms of what I'm saying here, as far as the quality of your pollination, I enjoyed this guy, and nothing taking anything away, but he's mostly just playing on the surface level, having fun with it, right? And so my point is, he's gotten a lot more support than you have. Yet when you talk about the quality of the pollination, that what I've gotten from you and your channel is infinitely huge. But it's again, we look at this world and it's funny. You've got what 20 something thousand subscribers. He's got almost 100,000 subscribers. But I did see a lot of his people in the comments today talking his stuff that I recognized, and that is kind of cool, that crossover, and hopefully more of them will be exposed to this, really, because I think they might find the same thing I did, that he's fun and all for a while, but like if you really want to start digging further, JTL's, I mean, there's going places. But that's all I got. Yeah, absolutely.
Doing some deep diving. JTL. Lori, go right ahead. You've been very patient.
Oh, it's really a good practice. Hey, Lauren, to hold the thought. So I kind of was thinking about the Tao and the Tao Te Ching and the Tao. And the Tao is connected to tech. And tech is connected to this deep hole of debt. They've sold all of their holdings for future chips to make these large language models. And so the agent, or the guy that the government has got in their deep state, dark soup, their secret, in order to get a government clearance and all that stuff. So the Gentex, I forget, I don't know what the name of it is, but he comes out and says, there's two things I can't do for this god of war, the hedge guy. I can't do this. I can't give out. I can't agree to give the government all of the personal stuff that they have on us, which Palantir already has. But this AI guy, and he says, and the other thing is, I can't let things not have government control, right? I can't have the AI sending out weapons without a human looking at it. and basically the guy has like some kind of moral to his company. And I'm like, so now they have him on some kind of like list where, he's at risk of losing everything because he, got in bed with the enemy. And I'm like, is this all like shown? Like the Tao is connected to the AI, and the AI is connected to this revelation. It's really all kind of connected, but there's this Gaia part that no one's looked at. It's already happened, and it's already the best thing ever. And thanks, James, for all of the dilation and pollination, because I am having so much more fun playing in it, because it is, like you said today on the stream, there's nothing I'm going to be able to do to change it except pollinate and love the people and love the peepholes that are going, they're in this like lockdown fear. Strong ass medicine people are like going, they don't know how to get into their own light. And it's like the only way to do it is sometimes just really disturb them. And then, basically they give gratitude after they get disturbed. And I'm hoping that all the people that you pollinated, this is what I'm saying, James, all of the people that you pollinated that had to push off against or whatever, that they come back. I see that. I was like, this was the best pollination I've ever had, to be able to see myself in that mirror. And that's why, it was so terrifying to see yourself in the light that I'm just like, they're all coming back. they're all coming back because there's no place like home, you know? So, thanks, James. I appreciate your work.
Oh, isn't that for
Thank
sure?
you.
I was thinking about, I think somewhere someone referenced like the burn, the expansion we're going through, and it's a lot like birth. Now, the first time you have a baby, you've never done it before. So if you have this awakening, you're like, I don't know what's happening. I have no freaking idea. What is this? So kind of like birth, and you have um, you have to dive down to 10 centimeters. You've never done that before, so it's all this totally new adventure, this new experience. It's very natural, but it's an unknown. But when you have your second kid, then you kind of know what's going to go on. So when you have your first awakening, everything is, all your reality is shattered, things start to crumble, fear sneaks in or whatever. We have the belt system, which we haven't talked about for a while, but the belt system, and your white belt to is it yellow belt? Is the next one yellow belt, James? Or then you're just afraid. You're just afraid of like what's going on, and then you're angry. And then you go to green, and that's the compassion without consent. But so this going on for me, like it's not as terrifying as say someone who's experiencing this for the first time right now. So I can compassionate them, knowing how I was so freaked out, and appreciate the fact that I've done it before. It's still new to me. Having another baby is like, well, this could be different. It's a whole nother experience. But what will this? Am I more relaxed in this stance? And I think the relaxation, when we go into the field of our communities and put out that relaxed energy, that can then kind of translate to like, okay, this person isn't just all uptight and driving crazy, and we kind of pull back and just observe more. So yeah, I just kind of thought about the whole birth connection, because that sounds real familiar to me. The first time you have a baby to waking up is a lot of unknowns,
I want
but
to
very
add something
natural.
on top of that if I can, because I'm not saying this will help everyone. In fact, it'll maybe only help a certain few, but like if you see someone that's like, why is the world so fucked up? What the fuck? This is so fucked up. This is the worst thing ever, blah, blah, blah. And, you want to be there. First, you want to acknowledge that it is. You don't want to try and take that away from them. And so, a lot of people will try and one up, well, I've known it's fucked up longer than you. So you're not, you're not compassionating anyone there. So match their enthusiasm for how disgusting it is. This is just compassion. You remember what it was like. Don't tell them, well, I knew about Epstein before. Like really meet them here. This is why it's here. But if you really start to look a little bit more at what's happening, you actually have the perfect mirror to show them why all this is happening. And I'll just use Twitter as an example. It doesn't have to be Twitter, but I can go on Twitter. I can walk anyone through the boardwalk of Twitter and show them all these guys that are like, I voted for this. Fuck brown people. I voted for this. And this is the greatest thing that's ever fucking happened. And fucking God, War Eagle, fucking kill them all. Let God sort them out. I can walk someone through this and say, you see this? You see this? Do you see this? Do you see this? Do you see this? Now let's look at how many people liked their post. Here's 50,000 likes. Here's 200,000 likes. Here's 100,000 likes. And then now let's look at a post that's, I don't mean to bring myself in, but now let's look at my post. Here's my post that says, I think what we're doing is wrong. And it's got 3 likes. You could be upset by this. You could say, oh, the world has given up on it. Or you could look at this very thing. The medicine is right here. It's right here. Because I get to look at that and say, this is why the world needs this to happen. This is exactly why the world needs this to happen. And as long as we can walk through the boardwalk of X and show people and see creatures in the jungle saying, I voted for this, I voted for this, I voted for this, you're going to want more of this. In fact, I think that if you were living in this Freemason mindset, I'm sorry to say it, but this Freemason mindset that I'm telling you, you would adopt for long enough, you would pull me aside at our next Freemason underground dinner and you would say, hey, James, shouldn't we be cutting cleaner? Wouldn't that be the humane thing to do? And then I'd have to say, meet me in the cemetery at midnight because you're ready. If you are helping animals, if you've been in a vet, if you've been a doctor, if you've been in any kind of situation where you understand, or if you've ever been an executioner, you want a clean cut. You want a clean cut. You want to administer medicine as effective, as ethically sound as you can. That whatever method is going to distribute the most amount of medicine with the least amount of suffering. And when you look at that, I'm telling you, you would want there to be more Epstein. Isn't that fucked up? But I'm saying, can you see how this is a ferryman that you pay, that no one pays this guy? No one crosses this river that I'm telling you about. Do you understand what I mean? No one fucking comes to this part of the island. This is in Atlantis where nobody's here, man. Not even Yoda's here. It's just like, I don't do this, man. You guys do what you need to do, because you're neither Jedi or Sith, James. You're doing something really weird. You're like working with both sides of this. I don't even know what to do with it. It is a different level here. I
It
think
makes
there's
sense.
more
It
about it.
seems like
Go ahead.
just
I think
like the
there's
herd
more.
immunity thing. Sorry, James.
Go
It
ahead,
just
son.
seems like we would get to that point quicker if we go the natural route. You know, it might be a little more painful. You see, death is happening regardless of the route you take. So we can't avoid that. We speak that we all have an expiration date, and so wow, it seems like maybe we're at that spot. Is this the fifth? The fifth one? How many times we've been here?
Yeah. Yeah, and when do
We might get it.
when do we become intelligent as organisms to start to pollinate each other in the most effective, healthy way possible? Just when does it? And by the way, I don't think that this is a moral imperative for everyone. No, no, no. I'm literally saying, look, some of you have come to me and said, hey, shouldn't we cut cleaner? And I told you, meet me at the cemetery at midnight. We're doing freaky shit here. There's nothing moral about what I'm telling you. I'm telling you that we are exercising the immorality. We are exercising a very different kind of psychology on the earth, because we feel as if it's somehow in our nature that we're supposed to do this. And the only thing that inclined you to do this, quite honestly, is that you look too deeply into the formula of how this world works. And that's where the fuck I'm at. And I'm not saying I'm right.
Your aperture and posture, that really kicks ass. When you brought those words into my cosmos, it really allowed me to have more compassion for other people. And so, we'll get there. I think we'll get there. It does take more Epsteins. Less injections.
And you can't crusade this. The underground midnight club, we're not, this is not we have to do this to save the world. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. We have to do this
Fight Club.
because the garden is more beautiful when we prune it. That's our maximum point of ultimate, hey, let's slow it down, is I was just trying to make something beautiful. It's more about that. It's more about the calligraphy of your life and how many cosmologies do you put light into? How many cosmologies do you leave some pollen in, and it just, and it is a full scale assault. You are crusading the world, but it's not in this you will conform or die, because we're not doing this to save ourselves. We're doing this to make the world more beautiful. That's all. It's just an opportunity to just feel as if our time here is not being wasted. And I think
It tastes good when we get eaten.
yeah, what recruits you is having to suffer on the vine doing nothing. This is the recruitment that you need. It's all the recruitment you need. And you only know this because you trust the world enough to know maybe I'm not supposed to suffer in this way. Maybe I'm supposed to feel something different. And I think the pollination kicks in as a new gear because you start to go, oh, fuck. Why wasn't I doing this before? And I think Renee really hit this with Vibe Liable. I don't know if she sees how symbiotically responsible you become, but if you see yourself as Vibe Liable, you understand that it's a daily great work on mission that's happening every moment of every day, right? At the grocery store, at the post office, at the park, stuff like that, you know? And it doesn't take much because it's not like we're going to die if we don't do it. It's the wrong engine to have, right? To be here. That's the hyena engine that works in a different way. It's a natural engine, but that's a belt that we've already mastered. And there's just other things to do. So
Yeah. Great points, both of you. Go ahead, Darkloon.
I was just gonna say, because I was gonna chime in with this anyways, but then what James is saying here with quicker, more potent medicine for the least amount of suffering. And I know I've heard you say, you talk a lot about reparenting a lot to Renee. You cannot throw a stone without hitting a person who's come from a dysfunctional family. And I'm
So
pretty
true.
sure that all of us here probably feel like we spawned in, we played on hard mode, and we feel like we've been playing acceleration like our whole life. And the reasons that we were able to come to these conclusions is probably because we first saw patterns there in the jungle of, you know, our living room, basically.
Yeah.
And it got us ready. And it's this knowing that it's being able to recognize that Gaia is alive, adaptive, and evolving through us in real time. And I think the feeling part and where you fall on the scale of this or that for genders, but I think for women, it's this practice of equanimity. I'm going to feel it. I'm going to let it move through me. And then I'm going to release it. Because just turning it off isn't going to fix it. Ignoring it isn't going to fix it, and letting it force me to collapse. Then I can't be team garden, or I'll overwater the garden, and then we all drown. That would not work. But I want to move in that place of beauty as this vibe of Gaia, where abundance finally truly eclipses scarcity. And there's goodness. And we recognize, because we've been through this, that people cannot see what they are not ready to see. People don't want to hear or cannot hear, not even don't want to, they cannot hear what they're not ready to hear. And it's this weird moment, I think, in life, and we've probably each of us here have come to it, where we are grateful for the dysfunction and the horribleness that we have experienced, because we recognize all of it holds a power in it.